Sometimes you play a game and it just makes it impossible to play other games. This can be quite a bind because, to be frank, we want those life changers to exist, but what do you do? And I don't exactly have an answer for that, but I would like to talk about some of those games. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 games that ruined games for us. Let's start out with an obvious one at number 10, Red Dead Redemption 2. It's been nearly 7 years, and there's still nothing else out there that's quite managed to scratch the same itch. There's really nothing like this same massive scope, the intricate attention to detail. It's something apparently only Rockstar is capable of doing at this point. The game has not been topped, at least not in the ways that make this game such a monumental achievement. The open world in this game is incredible. It just walks all over every other even vaguely realistic open world out there. Not because it's so big, but because it's so believable. The little details are what mattered in RDR2, and it's full of them. Where every other open world cuts corners, the game hyper-focuses on every little thing in order to make the world feel more like a living, breathing place. I'm talking about stuff like railroad workers accidentally nailing in spikes when they're building in the railroad, or restaurant patrons actually eating their food in real time, the way you can talk to everyone and they're almost all unique characters with schedules and specific behaviors, and just the overall incredibly realistic nature of the geography in the game is stunning. The amount of little secrets and Easter eggs is astounding as well. And it's clear they obviously put real work into it. Not the usual secret stuff that feels like it was dropped in by developers at the last minute. This is probably the most beautiful natural environment in any game so far. It's the perfect blend of realistic, but with a slightly hazy, nostalgic fog over it that makes everything look a little more picturesque. It's a game that's hard to not just stop and look at it and appreciate the view. It's consistently beautiful even now, 7 years later. There's things about the game that people don't like, the simulation elements, the sometimes archaic mission design, the focus on realistic animation over player control. It's not a perfect game for everyone, but what it does well, it just does better than everyone else. That's what I mean by ruined games for us. The games on this list are certainly not perfect, because what is? But they're so incredibly good at something that it's hard to go back to games that don't do that thing. Nice and easy. Shit. And number 9 is Elden Ring. Case in point, there are things to complain about with this game for sure. The repetitive optional environments, the repeated bosses and enemies. In some ways, the game is a little too big for its own good, but ignoring some of the lesser elements, Elden Ring is just a monumental achievement, especially for a Souls game. After playing Elden Ring, every other game in this genre can feel small and limited in comparison. The game is just so much bigger and stranger than anything else. The design of the open world, it's incredible. It's got tons of secrets. It just blows everything else away. No other open world game has managed to be this satisfying to explore. That first time you take a random elevator you find in the woods to find yourself a massive underground cave, it feels like the possibilities of the game are just endless. From there, you can see this massive temple structure in the distance. The entire game, I'm just wondering how to get there. In a lesser game, that would just be there for show, but in Elden Ring, you do go there eventually. That's what makes this game so special. The secrets and mysteries make it a really rewarding experience. The world is massive, and that only takes the mysteries and makes them more exciting to explore, because every hidden thing feels like a personal discovery, like you're the only one who's found it. Of course, it's not just that the secrets in Elden Ring are good. The incredible design of the world and its many landmarks are essential in terms of the experience. It's a game that just feels like a big journey. It does a great job obscuring things from the player, like how small the map starts off. For many of us, we just assumed that Lingrave, the starting area, was the entire map, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it blows your mind every time. And then there's all the weird stuff, too. The giant face under the Stormvale Castle, the village of the Pot Boys, the Turtle Pope. Just strange little optional things all over the place that didn't necessarily need to be there, but they make the world more interesting and more rewarding to explore. They're really going to have a hard time surpassing this one with whatever comes next. I guess that's why, at least for now, the devs are focusing on something completely different. At number 8, it's Fallout New Vegas. It really is kind of hard to go back to the other Fallout games after New Vegas. It's just on a different level. The game was a bit of a buggy mess at release, and it still has its problems. And yeah, the game does feel a bit like a really ambitious mod rather than a full-price game made with the backing of one of the biggest publishers on the planet. But that doesn't matter, because New Vegas is still one of the, if not the best game when you really want to roleplay as a character. From the dialogue options to the many choices and quests the game gives you, it's one of the most immersive and satisfying RPGs ever, simply because it's you, the player, in the driver's seat. You're not being railroaded by the game to go in any one direction or force you to do something you don't want to do. If you feel like you should be able to do something in New Vegas, there's probably an option that's at least close to it. Nearly every major character or faction in the Mojave can be affected in some way by your actions. A lot of the time, your choices can lead them to being outright destroyed or becoming your allies or something in between, and it all comes into play in the ending. This is one of the rare RPGs where it really feels like what you do matters. It's a high that a lot of other developers try to chase, but nobody's quite managed to do what makes New Vegas work so well. Even Obsidian, the guys who made New Vegas, haven't quite replicated it. The Outer Worlds, I think, are great games, but I don't know that they're even close to on the level of New Vegas. What makes New Vegas so good isn't just the choices, it's the freedom. The freedom to kill just about any NPC in the game, the freedom to completely skip certain quest chains if you want, do things in a counterintuitive way, and the game still recognizes it. It helps that it's set in a seamless open world rather than a linear sequence of stages, where, I mean, a lot of the games that try to replicate New Vegas do exactly that. It's the freedom of New Vegas that make it such an excellent role-playing game, and it's something no one else has just managed to get quite right, even its own developer.
I have to ask, now that you've reached your destination, what do you make of what you see? Of course you haven't. Vegas always was one of a kind. What you see down on the Strip is just a fraction of the city's former glory, and yet, more than an echo. I preserved its spirit. Or perhaps you were referring to the Lucky 38? The years haven't been kind to her, but still she manages to impress. Oh, don't be coy. You've been playing a high-stakes game ever since Victor dug you out of the ground. Don't be afraid to admit it.
And number 7 is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, where New Vegas offered role-playing freedom. Tears has mechanical freedom, and it's still one of the few open-world games to come out recently that actually feels next-gen, which is crazy, because the day the Nintendo Switch came out, it felt several generations behind. And it is. I mean, the Nintendo Switch 2 is like a PS4 Pro, maybe? Maybe a little better than that. It's not a PS5 though, that's for sure. And it's how many years newer than the PS5? But what makes this game so remarkable can be boiled down to 4 words: recall, fuse, Ultra Hand, and ascend. Those are the 4 powers you get in Tears, and they are game changers. It's not just Legend of Zelda that it changes. It's the entire open world genre. Ultra Hand in particular feels like a real next level event for gaming on the whole. It's sort of like when the gravity gun first appeared in Half-Life 2. It's a singularly revolutionary concept that expands the possibilities of the entire genre in a few new and exciting ways. The ability to not just pick things up, but stick them together is incredible on its own. The fact that it essentially just works without tons of physics bugs and constant issues as a gold star achievement on recent hardware, but this is the Nintendo Switch that it works on. And they just keep introducing new and creative ways to use it during the course of the game. What starts as a way to make bridges becomes like a tool for building vehicles to assist with traversal to fully automated death machines you can use to fight all your battles for you. Ultra Hand isn't just impressive. Using it can feel like cheating. That's what's so revolutionary about it. The developers just let you use it however you want. It's not severely limited in order to make their special vision followed. The game just lets you break it and exploit challenges that come up. And I mean, you're basically allowed to do whatever solution you can imagine, which is sometimes more satisfying than doing it the right way. Tears is a game that really rewards creativity and out-of-the-box thinking in a way pretty much no other open-world game does. For years, we've come to expect that if something's open-world, it's mechanically simplified. That's how it is. But Tears throws that playbook away and gives you this overpowered tool, actually multiple overpowered tools, and just lets you have at it. And number 6 is Astro Bot. Now, what makes this game so special is just how easy the developers make it look. It's a stellar platformer, and it doesn't do anything like crazy. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. Just a really high-quality platformer that's so naturally joyful and fun to play, it's kind of unbelievable in hindsight. Everything just works perfectly, from the creative level designs to the over-the-top boss battles. It's a game that works on every level because they're always focused on finding the fun. There's a reason why there's always tons of physics objects to run through and smash. It's not because it adds to the depth of the game, it's because it's super frickin' fun. That's Astro Bot's highest priority, and it's super good at it. It's so good, it can kind of ruin other platformers, ones that don't consistently shower you with rewards or come up with fun level gimmicks or just have charming little events play out all over the place. It's a game that clearly puts a ton of work into making something that feels like it was a breeze. It is just a simple platformer. After all, you run around, you blast enemies, you get power-ups and collectibles. It's all the usual stuff, but the difference is purely down to the quality of all of it. It's all excellent, it looks great, and it's satisfying to play with just enough challenge to keep things engaging without getting too hard or frustrating. Where a lot of other platform-centric games can get repetitive and boring, or have levels that start to run together, or just fail to be interesting and exciting for that matter, Astro Bot just keeps the party rolling till the end credits. And number 5 is Baldur's Gate 3, another one of those games that has just incredible scale and scope and absurd attention to detail. All this stuff really puts it a step above almost anything else. What makes Baldur's Gate 3 so unique is how it manages to be so extremely mechanically dense, has a ton of role-playing activities, but it's also like it keeps the AAA production values across the board. There's a reason CRPGs are mostly known for looking kind of crappy. Their mechanical depth and the scale of things means that trying to build cutting-edge visuals around them is pretty difficult, especially now. This is a game that does it, though, and I think that's a big reason why it became such a big hit. That alone is enough to make this a game that ruins other RPGs for you. Just the presentation is better than every other top-down RPG out there. I'm not saying other games in the genre are ugly. There are some great looks in games. There's some great background art out there. But compare any random conversation in Baldur's Gate 3 to something from any other CRPG. The rest of people are just sprites or basic 3D models. They're just standing still, too. I mean, we've got fully motion captured character performances to talk about here in Baldur's Gate 3, right? That's more than you can say for most AAA games, where they procedurally generate a lot of the animation, and they need a lot less animation. Baldur's Gate 3, though, it's all bespoke. It all stands out. and it's really impressive due to this. But on top of that, mechanically, there's so much more to do here than most other RPGs as well. You can blow up enemies with explosives, you can drag away bosses from their arenas and take them out in safety, you can pickpocket people while another characters distract them, you can be ridiculously evil, or just a total bastard who kills his own party members, or go out of your way to save characters who in any other game would be doomed from the start. You can kill NPCs and they'll get replaced with new characters so the story never breaks. There's so many possible variables that most developers just wouldn't bother with. And giving players that kind of freedom just makes their job so much harder. It's why most games don't. Baldur's Gate 3 does it. And because of this, there are still exploits and a lot of bugs, but it's worth it. The end result gives players so much leeway, so much more leeway than anything else. And number 4 is Inscryption, a game that doesn't necessarily ruin everything after playing it, but it definitely sets some pretty high expectations from little indie roguelike games that most possibly can't reach. The thing with Inscryption is that it's not necessarily the core gameplay that blows everything else away, or purely the presentation, or even the meta plot. It's really just how far the game goes from where it starts. That's what makes Inscryption so memorable and kind of ruins other games after playing it. It's a game so stacked full of surprises and revelations and crazy leaps and evolutions in the gameplay that going back to playing a regular game can feel a little disappointing, honestly. I know I'm being kind of vague, and that's kind of the point. Half the appeal in the game is in the surprise, and even me building up to it, it might leave you walking away disappointed, so I'll just say it's really hard to predict just how far Inscryption goes. I mean, the first time you find out you can get up and walk away from the table is a huge revelation that just breaks your expectations for a roguelike, and it only expands and evolves from there. It's a game that leaves you wanting more in other games. You want to keep chasing that high, find bigger surprises and unexpected gameplay twists that, I mean, you know, it's hard enough designing one game, but let alone multiple in a single game, so I don't exactly blame devs for not taking a game in this direction, but it can be a little disappointing when you're playing a card-based roguelike and that's it, that's the game. I mean, it's not the game's fault. I just blame Inscryption for setting impossibly high expectations. And number 3 is Hollow Knight. While Hollow Knight didn't ruin the Metroidvania genre on the whole, if anything, it's one of the main contributing factors to why there are so many of these games coming out, even now in 2025. But I gotta admit, it did kind of ruin these games for me. Every new game in the genre lives in the shadow of Hollow Knight, and most, if not all, come up wanting in some way. Even Game of the Year contenders like Nine Souls, which is an all-around excellent game, if you compare it to Hollow Knight, it's not fair because they're different games, but you can't help but see Nine Souls with fewer bosses and more linear progression and shorter playtime, while the cost of the game is more. Hollow Knight's $15 and you get a massive 30-hour plus game. It's not just one of the longest in the genre, it's also one of the most fully featured and also one of the cheapest. It's unfair to compare it to other good games, but it's impossible not to. The unfortunate reality is that there have been a lot of good Vanias to come after this one, but they can't be as good, and it leaves you a little disappointed. The genre is supposed to be moving forward, but the vast majority of these games are pretty good compared to Hollow Knight. And number 2 is Smash Bros. Ultimate. 87 total items, 89 playable fighters, 103 stages, 10 unique boss enemies, 59 assist trophies. Just in content alone, Smash Bros. Ultimate blows away every other Smash game. In fact, it just dwarfs about every other fighting game ever that isn't just a Dream Team match collection using 20-year-old sprites. The amount of stuff in this game is just hard to top. It is literally the ultimate Smash game, and any follow-up that doesn't match any of these numbers is just going to appear lesser no matter what. It's a very niche thing this game ruins, too. You know, basically all future Smash Bros. Games, but it also ruins Smash-likes. There have been attempts to make a Smash-like, a game like Smash Bros. Probably the most high-profile was Multiverses, and even that crashed and burned after the initial hype wore off. Every other game trying to be the next Smash, it's never going to come close. It was hard for games to compete before Ultimate came out. Now it's essentially impossible. It's like with Rockstar and open world crime games. Nobody else can even come close to competing, so they all just gave up. I do think there's an opportunity in this little niche genre. I think there's a chance for a really good Smash clone to come out that really addresses some of the issues players have with the actual Smash Bros. Games and make something really good, but there's got to be some money behind it, and for the love of God, don't make it free to play. Free to play fighting games just don't work. The core audience is just going to reject it. Now, even though this hypothetical Smash killer probably is never going to come out, let's say it did. Let's say it blew away the original games with gameplay improvements. Would it still have the massive roster of beloved characters, the huge map selection, the tons of single-player offerings for more casual fans? I seriously doubt it. So, no matter what happens, it's likely anything else coming out in this little micro genre is not going to be as good as Ultimate. It's not going to compare to it anyways. And finally, at number 1, it's Half-Life Alyx. The true power of VR was revealed back in 2020 with the release of Half-Life Alyx. It wasn't just good for a VR game, it was good full stop, while also taking advantage of the unique features of being a VR-only game. It wasn't just a fancy tech demo, it wasn't just a gimmicky collection of minigames, it was a full-blooded and satisfying follow-up to the legendary Half-Life experience, and it doesn't sacrifice a thing for being a VR game. It's without a doubt a masterpiece of VR gaming, and a real example of what's possible in that. What should have lit a fire under all other VR devs' ass was instead just an impossibly high bar to reach. There's good VR games that come out every once in a while, but Alyx is still a bit better. Feels like the entire VR boom is starting to wind down a little, and this latest attempt to make it happen is probably going to start going into hibernation soon. VR gaming can come back in another 5 to 10 years, and hopefully it'll maybe stick, and maybe by that point we'll have more games as good as Alyx. I'm not confident, but hey, it could happen. That's it for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and book me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.